Hello everyone and welcome to the Money Man. Now I know you guys have been waiting for this for a very long time and it's finally here. Today I'm going to introduce you to the newest addition to the Bank of England pound sterling polymer banknote family, and that is of course the 20 pound note that was introduced in February of this year, and here it is in all its glory. Now I've had this for quite some time and I just haven't got round to making this video because, well, I've had all kinds of problems. I was recording this a couple of weeks ago and my camera just kept burning out. It was just too hot. And then I planned to record last weekend and my flat had some flooding. So it seems like this video was never going to get made, but now we're getting right into it. So you can see that this is an absolutely exquisite banknote. The colour scheme is wonderful and there's a lot going on in this banknote as well that I want to talk about today. So let's start off from the right and work our way across. Now straight away you can see that we've got an image of the reigning monarch Queen Elizabeth II, and in this new series of banknotes they've used quite a young portrait of her, and I think it's a really good one. You can see just to the right of her we've got this clear window that sort of resembles a church window, and you can see that it's got 20s etched into it, which is quite nice. You've got Elizabeth Regnum, I think that's ER for Elizabeth Regnum, which basically means Queen Elizabeth II, and you've got the denominations of 20 right there. So really nice. Now if we move through the banknote, in the centre we've actually got the Bank of England building here, and then we've got 4 shields here, and these represent the 4 countries that make up the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and this is something that we've seen on other Bank of England banknotes. So you've got the 3 Lions of England, you've got the Welsh Dragon of Wales, you've got the Scottish Lion of Scotland, and then you've got the harp that represents Northern Ireland, but this is a symbol that is used in the Republic of Ireland as well. But do not confuse the Republic of Ireland with Northern Ireland. They are different places and you will upset many people if you confuse them. So if we move over to the left side, you can see we've got this wonderful reflective strip that moves down the banknote and a clear window incorporated into it. So there's a lot of sophisticated anti-counterfeit features in this banknote. So we'll start off with the top. You can see that we've got this reflective crown, which is a symbol of the British monarchy, and when it catches the light it looks pretty impressive. You can see these lines and a pattern that sort of emanates from the edge of the crown, and you can see that we've also got a pound sign for pound sterling and the denomination of 20 in there as well, and just under it, it actually says Bank of England. Now we've got this wonderful sort of like window frame right here, which is really nice, and we've got a pound sterling sign right here. And here we've got what looks like a lighthouse. Now there is a sort of like a naval theme of this banknote, which I will go into more detail about in a moment. But at the bottom you can see that actually it says pounds, and then if we twist it back to the light we get 20 emerge. Now it's a little bit tough for me to show you, can just see it there, 20. So yeah, so 20 and pounds, you get that wonderful change depending on the angle of the light source, which is really nice. Now you can see also in the clear window we've actually got another image of Queen Elizabeth II with £20 Bank of England going around her head written twice. And in the bottom left corner we've got the image of Britannia. Now Britannia is a cultural and historical image that is basically used to represent the British people, but it's also the logo of the Bank of England itself, and I have talked about that in the past. Now moving up through the banknote, you can see just in the top left we've got these raised dots here. Now this is basically the visually impaired feature that helps them to identify the banknote. Basically it's 4 raised dots, so they can any visually impaired people can identify the denomination, thus the value of the banknote. So this is a very common feature that you see in polymer banknotes these days, which is really good. One of the great things about polymer. So I've talked about a lot on the front there, but I really want to focus on the back because the back is really exquisite. So let's spin it over. Now you can see that following the tradition of featuring influential British people on the reverse of Bank of England banknotes, here we have Jmw Jmw Turner. Okay, now this man is a very, very interesting gentleman. So what I can say about him is Jmw Turner was basically a renowned artist. He did a lot of stuff, but he's most well known for his art, I would say. And the image of him here is actually his own self-portrait. So I thought that was really nice that instead of having a digitally created image, we've got this wonderful sort of self-portrait of him, which is a real nod to his artistic talent. And you know, it's just his dress. You know, you just look at the style of his clothes. You can tell that this was a pretty wealthy, well-to-do, healthy man. And we've got a little quote from him at the bottom which says, light is therefore colour, which is a quote taken from one of his lectures. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But what I really want to talk about is the image behind him. Now, this is a very famous painting called the Fighting Temeraire. And basically what Turner did was he painted this picture of this ship, which is supposed to represent HMS Temeraire, and that was a very famous ship that was involved in the Battle of Trafalgar. And the interesting thing about that is that, you know, obviously the Battle of Trafalgar took place in 1805, and that was Admiral Horatio Nelson's greatest victory. And it basically established British naval dominance for the next 200 years across the globe. It really catapulted Britain, or Great Britain I should say, into new heights, basically where they became the unchallenged naval power of the time and really much dominated, you know, the world for the next 150 years. So yeah, really, really interesting victory. And, you know, Turner is doing two things. He's commemorating that great victory in some senses, but the imagery is really interesting because you've got this incredible icon of British military power, but it's being sort of ignominiously towed back to shore by this tugboat. And I think what is going on here in this picture is that it's showing the sort of grand old great military technology being replaced with the product of the Industrial Revolution, which is obviously this steamship here. So it's really, really fascinating what he's trying to show here. Is like, you know, you've got this beautiful work of art, which is this ship that is this wonderful piece of naval fighting prowess, and it's just being towed back to land because it's redundant. The fate of this ship would be that it would be broken down for scrap. And it was one of the leading ships in one of the most iconic battles in the history of the British Empire. So there's a lot going on in the imagery and symbolism of this here. There's a real commentary about, you know, the old grand ship being replaced by the new technology of the Industrial Revolution. So it's really, really interesting. So yeah, there's a lot to be said. There's many interpretations of this picture, and also you can see that the sun is setting as well. So, you know, you can interpret this as much as you like. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in that painting. I definitely highly recommend having a look at that wonderful painting. So that is the main feature of the reverse of this wonderful banknote. Now, like I said before, at the bottom, we've got that quote, light is therefore colour, and it's a quote from a lecture that Turner gave in 1818, and it's a reference to his innovative use of light, shade, colour and tone in his paintings. So a real nod to his artistic style right there. And you can actually see the signature right here of Turner himself, and that's the signature that was taken from his will, which, you know, many of his paintings, he actually left them to the country after he died, and that's why so many of his paintings actually feature in art galleries around England, because he left them to the country as a sort of a patriotic legacy, I guess. So really interesting. Now, another thing that we've got at the bottom, which is something that I don't really talk about very often, but we've actually got a copyright logo right here, and this is the international copyright symbol. And you can see it says the Governor and Company of the Bank of England 2018. So that's really, really interesting. It is quite common to find the printer of the note on banknotes, like Thomas Delarue always have their name on their banknotes. But it's interesting how we actually have a registered trademark, so that's unusual. I only just spotted that recently. Now, if you have a look, you can see that we've got basically the serial number right here, and it goes down the left hand side in blue and then at the bottom in green, transforming into red. So you can see that there's a little bit of change in the color schemes even in the serial numbers, which is quite interesting as well. So there's a lot going on in this wonderful banknote. I think it is probably the best of the Polymer banknotes that have been released so far, although I am a big fan of the £5 note because it's got Winston Churchill on, and I'm a huge fan of Winston Churchill, as many British people are, because, you know, some of the stuff he might have said was a bit controversial at times, but he saw the nation through its darkest days, and I don't know if Britain would have survived without Churchill being Prime Minister during the Second World War. So for that sort of absolves him of any other minor sins he may have, in my opinion. So I do love the 5, but this 20 is an incredible banknote. So let me know what you think about this. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Do you have any in your collection at all? Because, you know, it's tough to get hold of banknotes at the moment because so many places you just cannot receive post from. So I was quite lucky to get hold of these before the postal service between the United Kingdom and Hong Kong was shut down. There's no air post going between Hong Kong and the UK, and it's been like that for a few months. So it's really frustrating for me at the moment. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. There will be more pound sterling notes to come very soon from Bonnie Wee Scotland. Okay everybody, that's all I've got for you today. It's the Money Man signing out for now. Bye bye.